Welcome to the Virtual Zoo, the channel that brings the zoo right to you. Welcome back to the Grand Canyon state of Arizona, where it's time for round 2 at the Arizona-Sonora Desert Museum. Last time, we ventured through the mountainous terrain of the Mountain Woodland, encountering mountain lions, black bears, wolves, and deer along the way. But today, it's time to lower in elevation and leave the forest behind as we explore these semi-arid environments of the Desert Grassland. Opening originally in 1992, believe it or not, the Desert Grassland is actually the second newest development at the museum, and compared to some of the others, it's still being updated today. The grasslands are a semi-arid biome that experience humid summers with moderate rainfall and dry, cold winters. And while they make a perfect home for, of course, grasses, in a almost prairie-like environment, desert grasslands also support a large variety of life forms, some of which we'll be seeing shortly. I'm all out of grass facts for now, more will be explained along the way, but it's time to go. Your journey through the desert grassland can either start where we left off at the end of the Mountain Woodland, or you can completely backtrack a short ways up the path until you make it to an intersection that we saw last week. Here, we'll take a left and follow one of the museum's main paths down for a bit until we see the entry sign. And by the way, I do understand if this is at all a bit confusing, and for your convenience, I left a map detailed with our route through the desert grasslands in the description below. Anyways, now that we're back on track, your tour begins with a short walk through a real-life desert grassland, now surrounded on both sides by large mounds of the earth and no shortage of grass and other plants. I wanted to start us off here instead of the other way because I just can't help but marvel at this immersive experience and the lengths at which the museum goes in order to create world-class exhibits. Now, before we get to the animals, we first gotta see the remains of some, or at least fake ones. The trail leads to a display titled Pleistocene Giants, with some fake bones, an excavation report, and a brief description on the megafauna that once roamed the Arizona grasslands. But it isn't until you continue just a little further that you can see why you're probably watching this video right now. A large open exhibit, viewable through a long set of glass panels near the front, and many holes. That's basically a dead giveaway that you're about to see the black-tailed prairie dog, one of 5 prairie dog species and a type of grassland squirrel. As their name implies, they are well at home in the prairies throughout the western United States and Mexico, and it's no joke that they eat grass, which makes up 70 to 90% of their overall diet. Fun fact, in addition to the grass that they eat, they will also trim, not consume, some grass around their colonies, likely in order to get an unobstructed view of their surroundings and keep a watch out for predators. The term colonies or prairie dog towns refers to the 30 to 50 mounds and holes in a particular place, while a smaller family group of prairie dogs is known as a coterie, which is said to inhabit certain areas within the town. And while I do know the museum once had upwards of 12 individuals who used to all share this space with a roadrunner, it does appear that their numbers are now dwindling. But next time we talk about this rodent, we'll learn the unfortunate truth of how they were nearly driven to extinction in Arizona. And on that note, I think it's best we keep on moving. To our right is an exhibit now under construction, a corner with a small pond and some reeds, at one point resembling a Cienéga, a special type of marsh that occurs only in the American Southwest. As the water table is very low, this marsh is fed by underground springs, which provide a habitat for many species in an otherwise inhospitable desert landscape. Well, it's clearly empty now. I do know it did and will again someday contain fish and a great blue heron. From the Cienéga we go. Adjacent to this is a large viewing shelter. This entrance was also closed off for habitat improvements, but if we continue on just a little bit, another entrance will come into view. Here, in this section labeled Grassland Soils, the underground community, we can learn about how the soil is alive, all the way from organisms down to the molecular level. Speaking of which, there's a small exhibit for a grasshopper mouse that I did not see, and sets of tunnels for harvesting ants, which may or may not inhabit this. Moving on, there are free large and well-detailed terrariums for grassland snakes, truly habitats within habitats. The first contained a very active gopher snake, a large serpent that can reach up to 7 feet in length and sometimes mistaken for a rattlesnake. However, unlike rattlesnakes, they are not pit vipers, nor are they venomous. Also, unlike many other snakes, gopher snakes are actually diurnal, which explains why they were so active at this time, as in the wild, they would be hunting for small mammals, birds, lizards, and sometimes even insects. But if they wanted to escape the sun, they could head down into their underground burrow right below this. Well, the other two terrariums exhibited prairie and black-tailed rattlesnakes in that order. I didn't really catch much of them, but I was sure to play with this real rattlesnake tail that you can spin a wheel to move, and did touch a model that you are encouraged to interact with. Around here was a medium-sized netted space, allegedly home to a burrowing owl, a small long-legged owl species that will actually burrow in abandoned prairie dog nests. But since they were no-shows, and we'll be seeing them in the near future, we'll be moving on. Next up, and front and center, is an exhibit that we've been avoiding this whole time. Almost taking up the entirety of this side of the viewing shelter is a space that once acted as a secondary home for the museum's prairie dogs, and then exhibited some metal vulture statues in a display called Vulture Culture. But apparently this was first renovated in 2009, and then became a large flight cage for turkey vultures, black vultures, and caracara sometime around 2015, which would kinda explain the signage. Now it's being renovated once again, and I guess that would mean we're not going to talk about them, right? Turkey vultures are the most widespread of the New World vultures, and are scavengers feeding almost exclusively on carrion, aka dead things. And while they do look similar, turkey vultures are actually not closely related to New World vultures from Asia and Africa, and are relatively similar mostly because of convergent evolution. These adaptations include a keen eyesight, a good sense of smell, and the ability to fly low enough to detect gases released by carcasses on the ground. And I even saw some circling out in the wild while flying near Phoenix. Exiting the viewing shelter, our final stop is on the smaller side, an open-topped space labeled for desert box turtles, which I did not see. Anyways, we are now where we left off in the last episode, but I've got one more thing to show you. If you continue on to this viewing platform, you'll be able to overlook the desert in all its glory, and catch a glimpse of our next adventure at the Arizona-Sonora Desert Museum. This is where I'll leave you for now. It's been fun, thank you for watching, stay tuned, and I'll see you next time on the Virtual Zoo.